In this video, we will take a look at exercise 5.1a, adjustment for supplies. If you remember when we discussed the adjustment for supplies during the chapter, we said that supplies are being used as time passes. When we purchase supplies, we record them as an asset. But at the end of the period, we must make an adjustment for the amount of supplies that have been used. We will take the used amount out of the supplies account, the asset account supplies, and we will record it as an expense because there's no future benefit there. So 5.1a says on December 31st, the trial balance indicates that the supplies account has a balance prior to the adjusting entry of $320. So our trial balance would show $320. A physical count of the supplies inventory shows that $90 of supplies remain. So we have $90 left. Analyze this adjustment for supplies using T accounts and then formally enter this adjustment in the general journal. So the T accounts are just to help you think about what's happening. What's most important here is that we get the journal entry correct because, again, your books are not actually adjusted until that journal entry is made and posted to the ledger. So our trial balance still says that we have $320 in supplies. But after we go in and count, we see that we only have $90 in supplies remaining. The adjustment is always for the amount used. In some of your problems, they will give you the amount used. Sometimes they're going to give you what is left, what's remaining. So you'll have to calculate what is used. So I'm just going to use this space up here at the top to show you. We started with $300. Not sure why this is not working, so give me a second. We started with $320 in supplies. And the problem tells us that we have $90 remaining. If we take what we started with, $320, subtract what we have left, then it will give us what was used. So $230 was used. And that is always the amount of the transaction, the amount that was used. So what are we going to be doing when we make this adjustment? Well, if you remember, the adjustment for supplies used is always a debit to supplies expense and always a credit to supplies. So when we make the adjustment, it's going to be a debit to supplies expense and a credit to supplies, again for the amount used. So if we had a $320 balance in our trial balance before the adjustment, we make a $230 credit adjustment, then our balance that's going to be remaining after the adjustment will be $90, which is exactly what they told us in the text that was remaining. So that's, again, what the T accounts look like, just to to help you visualize what is happening. Once you have done that, then you actually need to make the adjusting entry. So remember that the adjusting entries are always going to be dated the last day of the period. So we are going to date this one December 31st, because in the problem it tells you that that is the last day of the period. Remember the second step in journalizing? I'm sorry, I made a mistake. We need, when we are journalizing adjusting entries, remember that on the very first line of your journal, you must write adjusting entries. I apologize, I forgot this step. So adjusting entries, and my handwriting looks very elementary too. I'm trying to adjust to this iPad program. But we write adjusting entries on the first line of the general journal before we enter our adjustments. All right, so we're going to go down to the next line and enter this adjustment for supplies. So the first thing that we do again is the date. So we're going to write 2020 December 31st. The account that we're debiting was supplies expense. So we will put supplies expense and follow over and enter the amount of this debit of $230. The credit portion of the adjustment is to the asset account